Hi guys, and welcome back to another Starcraft Remastered replay cast. As once again we have a very interesting engagement here from the South Korean scene. So once again, two players from South Korea battling out here on a 4 spawning location map. We have spawning here in the upper right in the orange. It is C, a very known player, and as you can see he's from the Shield clan, the same clan that belongs to Bisu, one of the best known Protoss player. And his opponent here spawning in the upper left part in the green. But this is of course the AK from HYAK, also very known South Korean Zerg player. As you can see from the APM, also very high APM, very long replay as you can see from the timer. Quite an interesting replay, as Special is observing this. I don't know if this is Special from Mexico. I think it's also a Korean player. So yeah, Zerg versus Terran, we have it here on the 4 spawning location map. Very long game, very interesting one. As you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to be seeing some Guardians, a very rare sight from the Zerg. Is it going to work out for him? Guardians versus also a Terran player that is very likely going to be going for some bio build order with some Marines, with some medics, but we also saw some tanks there, so he could transition into some mechanical units, as we see or even saw Flash do this on this channel in previous replays. So yeah, in the late game I believe most Terrans will very likely transition eventually to the tanks, to the Vultures, and even Goliaths of course against air. We also saw some strategies with Goliaths and Marines versus Mutalisk that have also worked out very well for the Terrans. So let's see now. The scouting has begun. We are of course checking the build order first. We have a spawning, a supply depot into barracks. Pretty standard stuff, and the Zerg goes for a fast expansion first build order, and then he goes for his spawning pool. Also a overload is moving out the second overload here as well. So pretty standard stuff. I believe it was a overload into fast expansion and then spawning pool for him. So very soon we might see him get aggressive with some Zerglings as the overlords are scouting the map. The drone has already made it here forward. And yeah, the barracks has already been finished. I believe the Terran would also like to take his expansion here, as it is of course a 4 spawning location map, and the SCV is scouting now here the main from the Zerg. Checking of course the timer. We are closing in towards the tier 2 upgrade from the Zerg very soon, as it could be of course a transition into some high risk, into some lurkers early on. But yeah, we even have a macro hatch here for him. Luckily here for C, he has the SCV, he knows all the information. Also I believe the tier 2 is going to get a little bit delayed for him, as we see now also gas for him, and the first Marines are getting spawned, as you can see here from the production tab. We also have another supply depot. I believe the Terran is very likely going to lock here the entrance with a nice SimCity build order. And yeah, the SCV of course very curious, still scouting the tier 2, or when exactly it's happening. The Zerg of course could be smart and take the tier 2 upgrade here into his expansion point, as yeah, the SCV is still roaming around and down just to see what the Zerg is up to. So yeah, quite a standard open up here by both players. And yeah, of course HYAK is going to try to take down this SCV as quickly as possible, and then only transition into a tier 2. You might get a good surround versus the SCV, and this is what I told you. The Zerg smartly enough here goes for his tier 2 upgrade into his expansion point. So the SCV saw this and of course has all the information he needs, as he's now moving back to a different location. At the same time, the Terran seems to be confident to move out with some Marines, but he needs to be careful not to get surrounded by the Zerglings here from the Zerg. And it's going to be very interesting to see what exactly the Zerg is going for. Like I told you, many Zergs really like to go for that Spire, for those Mutalisk to have the air dominance, also attacking the expansion points from the Terrans. The Terrans of course responding with some engineering bay, with some turrets, as we also have now the first factory being built here for the Terran. So quite an interesting move. No early harassment by the players. We even have a Sunken getting prepared for the Zerg, so playing very nice, very safe, as there's so many Marines on the ground. And of course the Overlord is scouting this, as actually the Terran prepares his defenses for any attack by some Zerglings and by some high risk from the opponent. So both players just pretty much preparing their macro-oriented game. No abusement yet by them. Of course the Terran could react with a starport putting some vultures into the medivacs, into the dropships, and then just head out towards the bases from the Zerg. We see indeed I believe it should be a Spire. Yes, indeed a Spire is here into the main from the Zerg. So we might see some Mutalisk harassment happening very soon versus the mineral line. So yeah, quite interesting stuff there. We even have a starport is going for an add-on, so we might see some science vessels here by the Terran with Irradiance. Irradiance, of course, a great counter towards the masses of Mutalisk that might come very soon here towards the base from the Terran. So yeah, slowly but steadily we're closing towards the 10-minute mark. Still anyone's game, of course. You can see a very long replay. First Zerglings are actually moving out here with speed. Notice that speed has been done for those Zerglings. And we see, of course, the Terran going for his turrets. Of course, he knows the timing very well. And even some vultures are now moving out for the Terran. So yeah, some Zerglings will, of course, be sniped by these vultures. And even the attack could happen here, but there is a sunken, of course, so I believe HYAK should be fine, even though speed has been done for those vultures. So let's see if he's going to commit. Nice reaction here by the Zerg, very quickly taking those drones out. Might even upgrade the Burrow upgrade here for the units. We've seen these many Zerg do versus the Terran, even versus the Protoss. Of course, just borrow those units in case some Reavers are coming, in case some tanks are arriving or some dropships are happening, keeping those units safe. And some Mutalisks are also moving out here by HYAK. So the next target is very likely going to be the expansion point, but it's very well defended here by some turrets, so it would be pretty much suicidal here for the Mutalisk to engage. HYAK needs to be careful to out-micro those Mutalisk out of danger, as it looks like he's going to commit, but even some SCVs will be able to repair the turrets. His second turret immediately getting repaired by the SCV, so a small victory here for the Zerg, but he is also taking quite some damage out of the turrets, and there's many more turrets in the back with the SCV clumping them together, as they will of course be safe against the attack. So let's see, still HYAK looks like he's going to commit with many Mutalisk. One has fallen, really a large amount of Mutalisk, and HYAK really attacking very strong, so some Marines will have to come back here into defend against this. And now finally we have that Irradiance, of course, dealing massive amounts of splash damage. One Mutalisk will of course eventually fall. And yeah, very interesting game. The Zerg might try to continue with some Zerglings. The turrets are being repaired and replaced here for the Terran. So the Terran not really taking so much damage out of this harassment, as the Zerg tries now to attack into a different point. But the defenses look pretty good for him, as another Irradiance will be ready very soon. And here now he might try to commit here forward. There's not that many turrets, actually no turrets being left alive here. Only the Marines, even the science vessel has been taken out, so pretty good harassment out of the Zerg with a very strong force. Mutalisk, he's able to deal quite some damage against the Terran. He might even try to take out this tank, and this point right here is pretty much undefended, so I don't really understand why the Zerg is not engaging there. I believe his Mutalisk are pretty low, so let's see what his plans are. He's going straight for the bunker. Nice repair by the Terran, but yeah, those Mutalisk very deadly in the sky. However, not that many are being left alive, two of them already very low on HP, but yeah, very good harassment by the Zerg, as he has taken quite out some units here from the Terran. Yeah, let's see, more and more Zerglings are pulling forward. The Marines will of course have to stand their ground, no bunkers being left, as the overload has already been taken out here. Still position right here. Finally the Zerg realizes this. There are no turrets here to defend the position from the Terran, as he's going to be able to snipe SCV after SCV. Now finally one Irradiance is coming out, so a not that very well defended main from the Terran, as more and more economic damage has been taken here by him. But yeah, at the same time some Mutalisk have fallen here and many are very low. Still the harassment is very good for the Zergs. He has managed to cripple a little bit the economy from the Terran, also denying some mining time, and now he might even get out this Terran Academy with the range upgrade. So yeah, sadly a bad SimCity here for the Terran. Not that many turrets being left to defend this. Interesting enough, he's not even rebuilding them. Proceed with quite some mistakes early on into this game, allowing the Zerg to snipe more and more workers, even taking out this academy. And now then the supply depots are under danger, so What can his reaction be? Perhaps waiting for that science vessel to have more energy. Perhaps some brace would be an interesting idea for him. He's going to lose supply depot after supply depot, and yeah, all of those SCVs aren't mining. Finally, the Mutalisk will move forward, but some of them will fall as well. However, so many Marines have been taken out by them as well here. So this Mutalisk actually might win him the game if he might try to add more and more. It could be a mass Mutalisk harassment by him, so the Terran in some difficulties early on. He's reacting with some science vessel, but yeah, he's already taking so much damage. Supply depots have fallen, academy have fallen, and now it's pretty much the Zerg really wants to finish the game. So the Terran knows this, of course. 2 bunkers have been established by him as the repairing is going on, and yeah, even tanks are here being left to defend. At the same time, once again, the Mutalisk are out, but the Irradiants reacting here immediately, killing some of the Mutalisk, dealing more and more damage. Nice stuff here by the Terran as the Mutalisk fall into numbers, but still a large number of them are being available. 8 of them are being available, as a real attack is going to happen very soon here at the expansion point. Now we see Stim being casted by the Terran, and the Marines are of course very strong versus the low HP Mutalisk, and I believe with that finally the harassment has pretty much stopped here. Even one turret is being rebuilt, many more turrets are being added, so slowly but steadily the Terran is coming back into this game. However, he did suffer quite some casualties here, and large amounts of buildings have been lost. So yeah, I believe the academy will also be replaced here for him. He could have of course added it here next to the turrets, but then I guess he knows exactly what he is doing. In the meantime, we also saw the Zerg expanding here into this location, so an aggressive move out by him, even going for his tier 3. Of course, some defilers will be much needed for all of those Zerglings on the ground. Checking the upgrades, 0 to 0 for him. And yeah, the Terran now still onto his defensive position, but yeah, there's still Mutalisk being left alive here, and finally the large amount of Marines should be able to take care of this, as we see the range upgrade being done for those Marines. So I believe with that the harassment should have stopped, of course, but at the same time the Zerg has so much map awareness, so much map control. The Terran still had 2 bases clumped up together. Very defensive build order here by him, as the Zerg might even try to get his other expansion here and his other expansion here. And with that, of course, forcing the Terran to react, forcing him to expand as well, or even to move out with his units. Let's see, a huge amount of Zerglings here with speed. Wait, of course, to attack, and even to lurkers in a nice position, but yeah, this should be of course taken care of very soon by the Irradiants and by the tanks. So nice move, but he just needs to be careful against the Scourges. It's a good defense here for the Terran, and slowly but steadily he is also moving out, scanning the area, of course, having vision with the science vessel as he's able to take out those lurkers. So yeah, the map awareness, the map control is pretty much in favor of the Zerg, as he's suiciding some Scourges here, interestingly enough. But yeah, like I told you, he's going to just keep on expanding all over the map, and eventually this should of course be in his favor, unless things have changed here for the Terran. So early, very good early game by the Zerg, as we do indeed see a transition now into some factories. So not that many barracks are being left alive here, as more and more factories will be added. So we have indeed that transition into the late game from the Terran into tanks. Although we might see a connection here with the Scourges. And yeah, one science vessel has been taken out, as the Terran is going to pretty much commit. Some Zergs will try to attack here, but the tanks are nicely getting defended here by the infantry from the Terran. And yet another good connection here by those Scourges in the air versus the scouting science vessel, just to see exactly how many lurkers are being left alive. And sadly here for C, he's not paying attention. More and more good connections by the Scourges from HYAK as he's moving out. I believe he did very likely do a scan here, might even done a scan into this location, so HYAK nicely reacting with some Night Swarm. But C is deciding to move out, needs to be careful in the back. Some reinforcements from the Zerg will very likely intercept the upcoming units from the Zerg. We actually have a Defiler out already, so Zerglings will be more tanky in the Defiler Orange Storm. As yeah, now the Terran decides to move back, but HYAK might try to intervene might try to attack with his Zerglings versus the units from the Terran. But hold on, at the same time we do see a surprise drop here with some steamed up Marines, so I completely missed this one. The Marines in a pretty good position, this should be cleared. But yeah, very quite indeed a surprising attack by the Terran. Just a small of Marines almost taking out this Queen's Nest. Same time the Terran moving more and more forward. I believe his next targets is going to be very likely this expansion set right here. So this is exactly why I immediately reacting with some Sunkens. But Sunkens are of course not the answer against so many tanks on the ground. The Defiler will of course be the answer with the Dark Swarm, and it will be immediately irradiated here by the Science Vessel. So indeed the siege is going to continue here. However, it's a very small group of units. The Zerg can try of course to get a good interception against the other units here from the Terran. And yeah, let's see how this is going to unfold, as the Vultures do a great job versus the Zerglings on the ground. So the Vultures of course the perfect counter towards those Zerglings on the ground. The mines are very good. Also the speed from the Vultures very good versus the Zerglings. And yeah, the Terran seems to be shifting his armies. He's also nicely spreading his units all over the map. He's gaining more and more control. At the same time the Zerg takes his other expansion here. We do see a small engagement into this location, as the Terran of course attacking here just to secure his expansion. Yeah, there it is. Just moving out with his units all over the map, just to give time for his expansion to be completed and many more SCVs to be added. At the same time, I believe he's also going to secure the lower part of the map with his units. And yes, indeed, there is his SCV, who is very likely going to plant a expansion either here or into this location right here. So yeah, the Terran, knowing of course that he has to add expansion on his own, he just needs to be careful not to lose the SCV. And yeah, with that I believe he should be fine, but at the same time the Zerg nicely reacting with those Zerglings and with those lurkers, buying some time for himself, buying some time for his already mining expansions. Let's see how things will unfold. We have of course the tier 2, we see an Ultralisk then, so it could be a transition into those Ultralisk on the ground very soon, even Hydralisk. So Zerglings with lurkers, with Hydras is going to be the answer from the Zerg versus so much mech from his opponent. And yeah, eventually this is going to be cleared, but it of course has bought some time for the Zerg. Yeah, finally the expansion has landed. SCVs are getting transferred here as slowly but steadily we close towards the 20-minute mark, so we close towards the halftime of this game. Yeah, still anyone's game of course, but now the Terran nicely reacting, also expanding, and at the same time he might try to attack the newly established bases here from his opponent. But yeah, they're nicely getting guarded with some lurkers, with some defilers. So yeah, quite interesting game we have so far. Vultures in the front, just adding more and more of those mines of course. As soon as a group of Zerglings will step into them, lots and lots of splash damage will be taken, as the Terran looks like he's going to commit here forward. However, the Sunkens have been added. And yet the Zerglings do quite a great job as they're defended into the Dark Swarm from the Zerg, even a Plague has been casted. So yeah, pretty good stuff by both players. And yeah, let's have a look at the worker count. Many more workers here for the Zerg, so its economy is looking really strong versus the only 53 workers from the Terran. Yes, yeah, the mining just keeps on continuing, so we are very likely going to be seeing a transition into those Ultralisk. We see many upgrades here for the units. Even speed is being done for the Ultralisk. We even have speed for the Overlords. So very soon we might see an attack by the Zerg versus the Terran. We could even see some drops happening from those Overlords just passing towards the tanks. And let's see who's going to be the first deciding to attack and where exactly is the attack is going to happen here. Of course the Zerg with the Defilers looking very strong versus the opponent. Yes, some expansion are still available here onto this map. This one and this one here as well. Let's see, we do have indeed a move out. It's by C, who is actually deciding to attack this location. There is vision, but there's also the Dark Swarm here by the Zerg. Yeah, this will not deal any damage into the units as they're protected of the Dark Swarm. Of course, more and more energy is being available. However, the tanks dealing so much damage towards the units on the high ground where there is no Dark Swarm. So very good siege happening here from the tank, from the Terran versus his opponent. Finally some damage is being taken by him as more and more tanks are getting a good position here. The Sunken has been taken out. Very soon the hatchery might also take some damage as more and more of those casts are being added here, but he just needs to be careful. He has no anti-air, so the Scourges might get a good reaction here, a good connection towards the science vessel. And yeah, the huge mass of the Terran is just much going to commit here into attacking this expansion point. Some dropship would also have been nice, but there are Scourges in the air, so let's see how the Zerg is going to react. Actually, interesting enough, massive amounts of Nucleus all of a sudden. So the Zerg realizing there's not that much anti-air, but there are some Goliaths now arriving and even some Marines. So the Terran should be fine here with still Marines, with some Goliaths. It's the Goliaths, of course, the great counter towards the Aryan. So the Zerg thought, of course, there are no anti-air units, but little did he know that the Terran has also transitioned into some Goliaths, just in case something is left here for the Zerg. And actually not that many defenses are being left here, as the Terran just keeps on pushing forward with his tanks. Lots and lots of tanks, of course. There's the reaction from the Zerg. Still, Nucleus don't really agree with that. Yeah, let's see how this is going to work out against so many Goliaths on the ground. Looks like the expansion is pretty much doomed here, of course, so the Zerg has to abandon it. So nice first fight here for the Terran. This is able to take out the 12 o'clock expansion here from the Zerg. And the interesting transition here for the Zerg into some Mutalisk. So instead of going Ultralisk, he has added some quickly moving Mutalisk to attack those units. I believe he could even flew the Mutalisk here straight towards the production buildings from the Terran, and with that we would have forced, of course, a comeback from the main army into this location where exactly the Goliaths are getting reduced. So with that, of course, the Terran taking control of the 12 o'clock position, he might even build some command center very soon. At the same time, he's also expanding here, adding the turrets. We saw a small drop here happening from the Zerg. It was just one overlord or two with some units, so no problem here for the Terran to hold. However, the supply is very high here for the Zerg. The economy is still looking very strong, and finally in come the real damage dealers, the Ultralisk on the ground, upgraded Ultralisk with the Zerglings. 5-2 upgrades already for them. But the other tanks, of course, will be a great counter towards that. 1-2 upgrades for them here as well, as more and more units are getting transferred here towards the newly established bases. The same can be said here for the Zerg. He really wants to take out the newly established bases from the Terran, as some mines are actually working here against the Goliaths. And yeah, we see more and more Zerglings pouring here forward. At the same time, some attacks happening here with the Defiler, with the Dark Swarm. So a very interesting attack here. The Ultralisk, of course, tanking all of the damage. But yeah, so many tanks are still being left alive here for as they still be able to deal some damage towards the lurkers. So quite an interesting game, and yeah, luckily here this one science vessel has been left alive. Even the Scourges got some great connections. So yeah, the Terran holds his ground. What's more important for him, he did hold the expansion points here, and at the same time the Zerg actually taking these expansions right here. At the same time we do have yet another move out, but it's just Zerglings now, so the Terran should be able to end this off very easily, and even now taking out the lurkers on the ground. Yeah, very soon we will close indeed at a 30-minute mark. More of a map awareness here for the Zerg. However, all of the units he keeps sending out are pretty much getting taken out of the Terran tanks and the Goliaths, of course. So a very hard game for the Zerg indeed, as the Terran seems to be gaining more and more of a control of the map, spreading all of those tanks throughout the map. And yeah, no matter what the Zerg is showing towards him, the tanks are there to respond, and at the same time he should be able to take and even secure this expansion right here. So yeah, things have settled down a little bit. We have a small stalemate. Still some Zerglings are being pretty much suicided here for the Zerg. So of course they're not that expensive, but still every unit counts, of course, a lot. And perhaps the rally point will be changed very soon. We might see a drop attempt by the Zerg indeed. I believe he's going to move straight forward into the newly established base from the Terran. So quite a smart move. There's not that much anti-air here, only a turret, so the Zerglings will be dropped straight towards the tanks here. Let's see if he's going to be successful. Indeed, some vultures are coming forward. There's this one defiler with the orange storm. As yeah, good job here by the Zerg, not allowing the Terran to expand all over the map. At the same time, a small engagement here, but what's more important, the damage that is happening here. And I don't think that the Terran should be able to hold this for long. Some Marines have been sent here forward. And yes, somehow he does hold, even though there is Dark Swarm. Some lurkers would have also been nice here for the Zerg. As yeah, more and more map control is slowly but steadily gained here by the Terran. So yeah, the Zerg reacting. There is, however, vision. All of those barracks in the air give great vision, and I believe he's going to try once again to bust here forward into this location. Not that many defenses, only some mines here in the front and some tanks on the high ground. So let's see if the Zerg is going to be successful. However, already taking quite some damage from the mines. Only one overlord here to see this, but yeah, already so much splash damage being taken, and now even the tanks will be able to attack, and even irradiance is being used against all of those ultra-risk. But yeah, the irradiance will actually also deal damage towards the SCVs due to the splash damage, and it looks like the Zerg is pretty much going to commit here forward with his Dark Swarm, dealing more and more of a splash damage. The SCVs have to be brought back to secure the ramp, and yeah, in the end this looks like it has gotten cleared, but so much damage has been taken here by the Terran as he had to move those SCVs into a more secure place. And yeah, this one expansion already taking quite some damage as more and more reinforcements are pulling forward for the Zerg. But yeah, the tanks will able to hold this, and with that a huge attack has been stopped here by C, and all of a sudden C being maxed out versus the only 137 supply from the Zerg. So yeah, quite a good game by both players. But I believe right now we have a small advantage here for the Terran with his tanks, with his Goliaths, with his vultures. Let's see the response. Of course, massive amounts of Guardians would be a great idea here for the Zerg, but he needs to defend those Guardians as they're very slow. At the same time, we do have an expansion here in the middle of the map for the Zerg, and more Zerglings are being sent out as the meat grinder continues here, as the tanks just deal so much damage, and the mines also getting some good connections. And we even have once again a drop attempt being done here by the Zerg, as many tanks are actually being taken out. So finally a good move here by the Zerg, but the reinforcements from the Terran are straight on point. Still some damage is happening here, but I believe the Terran should be able to hold this. He's taking some casualties, but it's okay for him, as he also deals damage towards the units from his opponent. So yeah, very hard game for the Zerg, like I told you. Perhaps he's going to try to transition either into more massive amounts of ultra-risk without any Zerglings, or more defilers being present to give cover towards those ultra-risk. Let's see if this is indeed going to be his plan, as he might also try to attack this not that well defended expansion. Only 3 tanks here with 2 tanks on the low ground. The Terran knows this, of course, as he's going to try to move into a better location with his units. So I believe indeed the Zerg could once again do a drop here. Let's see if this is going to be his decision, but no, he's actually going into this position. So the newly established bases from the Terran on the lower right ground are the new target for the Zerg. So he doesn't really want this expansion to be taken care of. Of course, he could have taken it out with a doom drop that is very likely going to happen very soon with many overlords, but the Terran knows this, of course. He's sending out his reinforcements, he's even sending out his units to give cover, and now the Goliaths are in the front giving cover towards all of those tanks. So let's see if the drop is going to happen here. Indeed, some defilers are of course much needed. The ultra-risk are nicely getting dropped, the tanks even dealing splash damage to themselves with that, and now we even have the attack happening here, but no Dark Swarm, interesting enough, for all of those units. Still the ultra-risk very tanky, very strong. With some Dark Swarm, with some defilers, they would have been much better. But yeah, the Zerg all of a sudden with a great drop, and the tanks have to of course retreat as more ultra-risk are getting punched here forward over the Zerg. And eventually this will be cleared, as the tanks on the high ground just have so many kills for them. 7 for this one, 21 already for this one, but then yet another drop is happening here for the Zerg, as now finally he's able to punch here forward dealing more and more damage towards the defending units from the Terran. Even some Zerglings are pouring here forward, so finally I believe he has done it. He has so many units being left alive. The upgraded Zerglings, let's check those upgrades very quick. Sweet upgrades for them, so they're very strong into the late game. Finally he has made it, and notice without any Dark Swarm, he just purely added mass Zerglings, mass Ultra-Risk, no Dark Swarm needed by him, as he's able to take out an important expansion here from the Terran. So all of a sudden things have changed. The Terran needs to bring back his reinforcements here as the siege continues, and many more buildings will be taken out very soon. So the Terran could of course react into attacking here. The Zerg knows this, he's adding some Sunkens to defend, but yeah, the damage has already been done as even the turrets are being taken out by the Zerg. So nice move by him. Eventually the units here are trapped, they will be taken out, but the damage has been done. This expansion has to land, he's not really mining there, as the science vessel will very likely cast a radiance towards the units. And now finally the Terran should be able to take this out, but he will also take some damage here from the tanky units from the Zerg. So interesting engagement. Finally the SCVs have to be replenished, and the more and more mines are getting nicely casted here by the Terran just to give that splash damage towards the Zerglings here. So a good move by the Zerg. I believe he's going to try very likely to attack once again. Might try it once again to do a drop, I believe. Yes, not that many turrets are being left alive, so the Terran knows this. Of course he's going to rebuild the turrets here just to not allow that drop to happen. But with that many large amount of overloads here for the Zerg, the very next step is very likely going to happen here. I believe we also had an attack here, so multitask by the Zerg. He also has forced the units from the Terran to be brought back. At the same time, once again, we do see a drop harassment happening here. The scan has been done by the Terran, so he pretty much knows what is going to happen. It's going to be very hard for the Zerg to do his drop here. So many mines are waiting for him, so many Goliaths as well, as the fire also giving great cover now for any units. And we even see a drop happening here, so a nice multitask by HYAK, which is pretty much all over the map, dropping those units left and right. The Ultra is very tanky, very strong, and still he's not going to attack here. I believe it would be pretty much a suicide, so he needs to be careful. He's going to get irradiated very soon. But yeah, he knows that of course the defenses have been redone here by the Terran, so he's going to try to find a good position. He's going to drop all of those units here, but irradiance already being casted. Dark Swarm has also been casted. A nice Dark Swarm highway here for the Zerg, but there's so many tanks left and right. The reinforcements are nicely pulling forward here for the Zerg, and more damage is actually being taken here by the Terran as unit after unit falls once again for him. So eventually he should be able to hold, but once again he took some damage. He took some of those. Supply has fallen as many more units are being added here, but still the important expansion in the middle of the map is being pretty much untouched, interesting enough, by the Terran. Just a small group of tanks that have been very successful. However, the damage continues here to arrive. Yet another drop happening here with some Zerglings once again pulling here forward with some Ultra Risk. This time it looks better for the Terran as his Goliaths give good cover towards the tanks in the back. Yet swarm after swarm is being added here by the Zerg, and yeah, once again the expansion might be in trouble. A good Dark Swarm once again being added, and with that I believe the Zerg should be able to apprehend the high hand here and yeah, take the advantage. Not that many units being left alive for the Terran. It tries of course to lure all of those units into the mines, but yeah, in the end somehow the Terran does hold with his tanks, with his mines, and with that he is able to secure the expansion once again. So very nice move as two Goliaths are try to take some damage here. Let's see, the expansion also taking quite some damage here. So at the same time we do see once again a move out here by the Zerg with his Zerglings, with his Ultra Risk in the middle of the map. Where exactly is he going to attack again? I believe into this location, but this high ground here, huge advantage here for the Terran, as those units are pretty much getting untouched. And I'm pretty sure there's so many kills onto the tanks, but actually it's new tanks here for him, as he's expecting once again a drop to happen very soon. So yeah, finally a small stalemate, but no, hold on, actually, as I said, is the Zerg once again preparing a drop. Where exactly is he going? He might even try to go into this location to surprise the Terran, to just pretty much kill the reinforcements arriving here. So let's see if this is indeed going to be his tactic. So a smart move would be, of course, to take out the production buildings from the Terran, to pretty much ignore the expansion here from him, and yeah, just take out those producing factories. Not that many buildings here defending. Actually, the science vessels are here present, so they could take out the overlords in the air. Let's see if this is indeed going to be the reaction from the Terran, from the Zerg, sorry, as the Terran now pretty much is going to be able to deal damage towards the newly established base. And there we have the reaction immediately here for the Zerg. This is going to drop all of those units, and the Terran reacting with irradiance against the overlords. So quite interesting stuff here. Even a defensive matrix onto the Ultralisk, I believe, has been casted, so quite interesting. Perhaps a little bit of a misclick here by the Terran as the siege continues. And yeah, nice Plague even has been casted here, as more and more damage is being taken here by both players. But actually this expansion right here seems to be taken out very soon by the Terran with his vultures. Yeah, still anyone's game. Still a very interesting game, as we're closing slowly but steadily towards the 40-minute mark. So quite an interesting game indeed we have here. Still anyone's game, but it looks like to be a little bit of a better game here for the Terran. However, the economy from the Zerg is still looking very strong, but let's not forget that there is Dark Swarm, there are tank units with the Ultralisk, and very soon we might see some Guardians like we've seen in the thumbnail. So yeah, let's see. Those Guardians will be a game changer here for the Zerg, as once again the drop is happening here into the expansion point. The Zerg really wants to take this one out. Only a good Dark Swarm giving tankiness towards those Ultralisk versus the ground units, and even some factories have been added here by the Terran, so he has to replenish those units into this location very nicely with the factories. But in the end, I believe the Terran has enough to hold its location. He might even try to drop the factory here onto the ramp, not to just to block any more advancing units from the Zerg, and even brings his reinforcements here forward to, of course, to secure the newly established bases now. And yeah, the SCV take quite some splash damage out of the irradiance here from the Ultralisk, because in the end this will be killed, but so many SCVs have fallen. So yeah, still anyone's game. Quite an interesting game we have here so far. Let's see who's going to be the victor of this interesting game, as more damage. Let's have a look at the upgrades. Maximum amount of upgrades, of course, by both players. As once again, 4 Ultralisk have been sent out here for the Zerg, and irradiance the response by the Terran versus all of those units. Nicely blocking the entrance with those units. And even the Scourges once again take some good connections, but we have a Doom drop happening here. Lots and lots of units have been dropped here by the Zerg. He's trying, of course, his best, adding some great Dark Swarm towards the units here. But I believe the Terran should be fine. He should be able to hold this with mines on the ground. However, some Zergers are pulling here forward, and with that, all of a sudden, I believe the Zerg has the high ground here, as his reinforcements are pulling forward. So once again, the Zerg is being able to punch here forward with his Zergers, with his Ultralisk on the ground. And with that Dark Swarm, the Orange Swarm, very strong versus the units from the Terran. And yeah, with that, I believe this base is pretty much doomed. Some Scourges will even take some connections towards the science vessel here. A couple of vultures are being left alive, but yeah, the Zerg once again is being able to take out the expansion point here from the Terran. So all of a sudden things have changed into the favor from the Zerg. Looks like his strategy with Ultralisk, with Zerglings, is paying out. He is going to be able to kill so many of those SCVs, and even adding more and more of those units here towards the base from the Terran. Let's have a look at this base right here. The Zerg tries, of course, to counter it, but we do have defensive matrix into this location. We do have many tanks, so the Zerg not being so much successful here. However, this time he was able to take out the expansion from the Terran. Actually, the SCVs have been taken out. This base is pretty much mined out, and the Scourges get some connections here towards the command center. And yeah, I believe he just needs a couple of vultures to take out this Ultralisk, as yeah, in comes the reinforcements, but there is Dark Swarm. Finally, he should be able to clear this out. So in the end, lots and lots of SCVs have fallen or shield, as he has dropped to 44 workers. But yeah, now he's re-establishing the defenses with some mines on the ground. And importantly enough for him, this expansion is still being left alive, still being held by the Terran, as the Zerg bases are pretty much taken out here. So much minerals have been spawned, and I believe very soon he might need yet another expansion. So the Zerg slowly but steadily losing here the pace from his economic advantage. He's once again trying an attack, of course. He's trying to take out the 12 o'clock position here for the Terran, as many more units are being brought here forward by him. But the Terran holds, even though there is Dark Swarm, he has those units, even has the Goliaths shooting down the overlords in the air. Many more units are being left alive here. However, the supply from the Zerg much higher. I believe this is due to the fact that he has 61 workers. Let's not forget this fact, and also the ultra-risk make quite a large amount of supply. And yeah, one ultra-risk has made it here forward. I believe the SCVs have to fight very soon for their lives, as more and more units are getting transferred here by the Zerg. But this important expansion is actually mining now for the Terran, and this one here as well. So the newly established bases are mining very nicely. This fake attempt into dropping something here. But yeah, we will very soon close towards the end game here. I don't know how exactly the Zerg can or could actually come back with some great Dark Swarms, but there's so many units here for the Terran still being left alive, and the defenses, of course, nicely being established with those mines on the ground. Will it be able somehow for the Zerg, perhaps with a great drop? Let's not forget that some Guardians will be added. And let's see some Irradiance now. The reaction from the Terran versus the units of the Zerg, as the Scourges actually get some good connections here versus one Science Vessel. So interesting enough, I believe the Zerg is going to try to do some drops towards this location. I believe this one is a little bit too far. Let's see if this is indeed his plan, as so many mines have been added by the Terran here, and his defenses still look very strong into this location, as yeah, he's not attacking the expansion point from the Zerg, pretty much focusing onto defending his newly established base. There's lots and lots of minerals here to be mined by him. Also many minerals are still being left alive here into this location. So many mines on the ground, just notice. So much splash damage is still available for him. As we see once again a small move out here by the Zerg. Yeah, who is going to be the one attacking first? I believe the tactic from the Terran is clear. He's just going to stay on defending here. He's going to allow the Zerg to move out, but those tanks will of course be able to deal splash damage. And it looks like once again that the Zerg attacks here into this location. He just needs to be careful with those mines. He has of course detection, but there's still so many mines still being left alive, and as soon as he drops the units, the mines will get some good connections. They will also get splash damage towards the tanks, but in the end it should be all worth it. Look at that, the units from the Zerg pretty much have melted here, taking so much splash damage, and then the vultures just pretty much came back and finished the job. So nice job here by the Terran, securing his important expansion point, and this expansion point right here is also pretty much secured. Yes, of course the Zerg is sinking into a different strategy, and there it is. There we have the different strategy. We do have indeed some Guardians being done here by him, but there's still Goliath, so he needs to be careful. The latch here, very good for the Zerg into giving cover for his Guardians, as the Guardians will finish very soon. So of course those Goliaths will stand no chance against so many Guardians. Let's see when exactly the attack is going to happen here for the Zerg. But he just has to be careful against the Irradiance here as well, and income the Guardians just to deal damage. Such a great unit to have. Not that much of an upgrade, but finally we do have the reaction from the Terran immediately. Irradiance, of course, it is going to be lots and lots of HP, however still being remained for the Guardians. A pretty good micro. Now he's pretty much going to go for the, or he should attack the Goliaths on the ground. The Goliaths get some good connections, but it's just not that many of them being left alive. And now all of the units of the Terran are pretty much getting exposed here. So the Guardians were a great attack by him. Only one Guardian here, only one Goliath here, and now the SCVs are pretty much getting attacked. So Guardians looks like it's going to be the winning reaction here for the Zerg, as the ground units for him are pretty much getting obliterated by the tanks. Still so many Guardians being left alive, and there will be a transition into 6 Goliaths here from the Terran, but will it be enough, as so many SCVs are being taken out? by the Guardians. And now finally the Goliaths do arrive here. The Guardians not that fast moving here as they take so much damage. And Guardian after Guardian is being taken out as we see yet another attack is about to happen here for the Zerg. So Guardians once again is being Guardian eggs, but the Goliaths could come forward here and could intercept those eggs with a good scan. And yeah, great stuff here by the Terran, taking out one cocoon and even another Mutalisk also almost have been taken out here by him, but still a large amount of those Guardians here being left alive. Will it be enough, however, against so many Guardians? And there could also be a brace here by the Terran. The brace could of course take care of all of those units. And we actually see an attack happening here with some Ultralisk by the Zerg. But is this going to be enough? Just needs to focus all of his units into going straight towards the attack. Let's see if this is going to be successful. As the Guardians once again are moving forward, pretty much a suicide attack against so many Guardians. The Ultralisk are not being brought here forward by the Zerg. More and more damage is being taken here actually for the Zerg. And I believe with that the Terran might have done it indeed. A little bit of a mistake here by the Zerg, not taking his Ultralisk, not taking any Zerglings here to cover the Guardians. Only now he's moving forward with his overall. So very bad decision here if you ask me. Quite a blunder here for the Zerg. Only now he's actually dropping the units. If he would have attacked with all of the units, he might have had a chance, but he has pretty much forgotten about all of those overlords. Now pretty much a desperate move here by him to move forward, and with that indeed he has to GG out. So a little bit of a blunder. In the end I believe the Terran would have still won the game as he has had so much of an economic advantage. However, the main also here in the middle have pretty much missed this one. Yeah, still a large amount of the army is being left alive here for the Terran, so I was focusing on the attack in the upper part, but yeah, here the Terran still had so much of a supply advantage versus his opponent. So I believe in the end he would have still won the game versus his opponent. Yeah, let's just check the stats very quickly. Once again I'm going to be clicking left or right. I believe at one point the Zerg had the advantage into the game, but that transition and that defense of those tanks on the high ground proving to be a little bit too strong, and even adding those turrets against those drops from the Zerg. And maybe the Zerg would have had a chance if he would have stayed into Zerglings and Ultralisk with Dark Swarm. But yeah, quite a hard game for him against the mech Terran with his tanks, with his vultures also. Let's not forget that those vultures with those mines were very crucial into dealing splash damage towards the Zerglings and towards the Ultralisk on the ground. So a very interesting game, a very long game as you can see. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be seeing of course in the next replays. This is Tommy signing out.